Y'all, we got a trust problem. We've been told for years to vote with our dollars. But let's be real, because trying to shop sustainably these days feels like trying to read a map in a hurricane. I mean, is it just me? I don't know. Have you found yourself standing in the store aisle staring at all those boxes that say natural and they have that like special shade of leafy green? And I'm standing there like wondering, am I actually choosing products that heal my body? Do they help the planet? Or am I being played by a clever marketing campaign? Well, okay, it's not just you. Maybe it's not just me, but it's definitely not just you. 80% of consumers genuinely care about the impact of what we buy, but we're also exhausted by constantly reading every single ingredient on the label. We are screaming for an easier way to identify the companies that aren't just faking it. So what would happen if we got rid of that eco-friendly sticker and replaced it with a universal signal that actually means something? What brands would pass the muster and what would just sort of phase away? That's what we're talking about today on EnvironMental with Dandelion. If this is your first time tuning in, hi, hello, I'm Ob, your host and the chief cultivator here at Dandelion. We're the comms people behind the brands, helping people and the planet work better together. And you? Well, you're the eco-curious baddie who's been called an alarmist hippie your whole life, and now that the world is literally burning, the I told you so doesn't feel like the flex we thought it would be, does it? Just feels like a lot of heavy lifting. Always, if you're looking for more context on how to navigate this maze, you can find a link to the resource doc in my show notes. And before I introduce my guest today, please tap the thumbs up button like it's a certified sustainable badge that you finally found after searching through like 10 pages of greenwashed nonsense and you just can't let it get away. Got it? Okay, good. Let's go. My guest in this episode is someone who quite literally is building the infrastructure of trust we've been looking for. She is a leader at the company that is helping brands turn vague promises into verified climate action. She specializes in creating the smart swaps we need, helping consumers move past the material footprint of things and towards meaningful gestures like verified carbon offsets and legitimate certifications. I'm talking like from Amazon's climate pledge friendly badge to the ClimeCo certified product badge. She's heading up the team, making it easier for us to shop smart and shop certified. She's the senior vice president of certification programs at Climco. Please welcome Linda Kelly. Linda, could you please tell our audience the number one thing they should know about market-based solutions for a low carbon future?
Sure. Thank you, Auburn. It's a real pleasure to be here today and to talk with you and your audience. I think the most important thing to know is that there are credible market-based solutions available to both consumers and to businesses through companies like Climco and many others. I think the most important thing, and if we're really going to focus on sort of the product level marketplace that you talked about, sort of the confusion with all of the different claims that are there, one of the most important things to do is to look for third-party certifications. So if you're looking at products and brands and there's a lot of claims on the packaging, but they're self-proclaimed features or benefits of that product, that's not going to be as credible as a product that has gone through the analysis of a credible third-party certification program like the Climco Certified Products Program, which has been in the marketplace for almost 18 years. We've got a lot of experience in both working with product manufacturers and sellers about making sure that they are walking the walk, doing what it is that they're telling their customers that they're doing, but also staying current with what the marketplace demands. So there have been a lot of changes along the way, a lot of changes in regulations, a lot of changes in marketplace expectations. And the Certified Products Program has stayed in tune and at pace with those changes. So we take those things into
Mm,
account. Our program assesses the overall environmental impact of a product. And this is considered from cradle to grave. So at every stage of that product, we're measuring what the raw materials, what the manufacturing process, the packaging, the distribution to customers, the use, and then the final disposal or recycling of that product, how that impacts our environment.
incredible. And you've been
That's
doing it
right.
for
The
18
certification
years?
was launched in 2008. So that's coming right up on 18 years in the marketplace.
And so, if a small business wants to be certified, do they just answer a ton of questions, or are you do site visits? Like, what does that process actually look like in like a short nutshell? Because I'm sure that it takes a long
Yeah,
time and a lot of work
it's
to have the
become more
certification.
streamlined and it's become simpler with technology and AI resources coming into the picture. But again, our certification is a
Hmm.
product level certification. And so we require a third party assessment of that product's full life cycle and where it impacts the environment. And so there are professionals that conduct these life cycle assessments of a product. They look at every raw material, the percentage of content of that material. They look at all the packaging elements. They gather energy consumption data from the manufacturing, look at the emissions associated with distributing, transporting that product. Some products have a use phase, so any kind of electronic product is using energy when the product is in use, and then products have to be disposed of, recycled at the end. All of those impacts are measured. And so a company comes to us with that completed report. We then review it and assess it and
See.
confirm that we know what the product's carbon footprint is.
Wow, that right, and that's product based, so not brand based, which means that a brand could have a ClimeCo certification on one product and
That's
not on
correct. We
anything
do also
else.
have programs at the brand level, but just to kind of stay focused today on products, since that was really your intro, is to how do consumers navigate this sort of crowded marketplace for
Mhm.
environmental claims on products. And so our program again measures the full environmental impact, the carbon impact of that product. And then companies have to
Mhm.
take responsibility to continually work to reduce it. So that's part of our certification program. Every year
Mhm.
they've got to show us what they're doing to make reductions in the product's carbon footprint. Now that they've measured it, they can work on reducing it. And then they have to take full environmental responsibility for the carbon emissions associated with each product that they sell. And they do that by supporting other projects around the world that are sequestering or removing carbon dioxide emissions from the environment.
Yeah. And so do you find that like brands that have their product certified also want to go through the brand certification? Because I feel like
Many
that's an
do.
important thing too, choosing a
Yeah,
brand,
many do, and
you
there's a
know?
lot of overlap in the emissions associated with manufacturing and delivering products and your overall business operations. So we have a lot of companies that will certainly do both.
Do you need to have your product certified to have your
They can
brand
be
certified?
independent. And again, it's a matter of working with companies to help them meet the sustainability goals and initiatives they have for their own organization. And then helping them to be sure they're communicating that clearly to their customers, to their client base, whether it's at the brand level or whether it is at individual products.
Yeah, well, ideally it would be both, right? A person finds a product, they love that product, and then they search up the brand to see if there's more that they want to buy from that brand. Is this a brand I can trust, or is this a product I can trust? I don't think that's a question that people ask
Well,
themselves.
I think they are though. I think they are. And we're seeing more and more companies focus on the importance of, again, communicating these things. So you'll see companies publishing their sustainability or impact reports. And those reports are great resources for consumers because they do explain what the company's doing more broadly on the company's operational level. And it will also focus on what they're doing if they're a consumer brands company, on what they're doing with the products that they are producing and providing to consumers.
And you said that you help brands communicate about it too. That's obviously one of my special interests because that's what Dandelion branding also does. And I'm curious if you have found anything that's been particularly helpful with helping brands communicate
So the thing
their
that's the
certifications.
most important is, one, having a certification program like ours that is very clearly defined and really does guide companies
Mm,
with what they can say about their certifications and what's beyond the certifications claims. So we have, marketing kit and a marketing team that works really closely with our brands. We are a big part of what Climco does with the brands with which we work is to, again, help them identify what their initiatives are, make sure that they've pursued those in a transparent and credible way, and then communicate it. Say what you're doing, do what you're saying, but nothing more and nothing less. Make it very clear to consumers.
yeah. Nothing more and nothing less. Wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that. We deal a lot more with green hushing, brands that are kind of nervous about saying things versus greenwashing, because I really only work with brands in the sustainability world. It's more about pulling people out of their shell. And I kind of always say, like, if you're not greenwashing, let's not worry about it. If you can back up your claim and it's truthful, let's not worry about that. I think nothing more, nothing less is really a nice way
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a
to say that
lot of
too.
what Climco does. We really help companies focus on the authentic messaging. If you've done your work, if
Yeah,
you've come through and received our third-party certification, then there's no reason to be shy about shouting it from the rooftops. This is the hard work we've done to ensure that our products are better for our world or better for the environment.
absolutely. Amen to that. It really doesn't get better than that, I think. When you do the work, it's hard work. Like, don't, like sustainable brands, they're working really hard to create an incredible product. And then they work really hard to get a
That's right.
certification. And then they work really hard to communicate it in a way that doesn't bore people or, turn people off or make them feel skeptical. And the whole thing is really out of the goodness of the work they want to do and the integrity they want to bring to the products that they're making. I mean, I'm in this world every day and I know you are too. And I'm so consistently inspired by it.
Yeah, and I think another area where consumers are getting help in this area. So again, you kind of described at the beginning that walking down the aisles and seeing dozens of product options for what it is you're trying to buy. We are helping with the third-party certifications, but the retailers are helping too. So you mentioned Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly program. There are many other retailers like Grove Collaborative and Ulta Beauty, and even more mainstream resellers like Walmart and Target and Staples. They're all promoting the programs that they are featuring where they've done the vetting, they've done the work to review the certifications of products that they're willing to accept.
Mm.
So we've been involved with the Amazon Climate Pledge Friendly program since it launched in 2020. And I give Amazon a lot of credit. They have really put a lot of resources into the Climate Pledge Friendly, sustainably certified product badging program that you see, the little green leaf that you
Hmm.
see on Amazon. Amazon has an entire scientific assessment team, and they use some external third party resources as well that evaluates the product level certifications that they're willing to accept into their program. And they require ongoing reporting, ongoing assessment of these third party certifications. So I really believe that Amazon Grove, Ulta, other retailers have done a great job of helping consumers by going through another level of vetting and verifying the third-party
Mhm.
certifications.
Yeah. With the intention to make sustainability more
Absolutely.
mainstream and more
And
accessible.
make it simpler for
I think
customers to make
yeah.
their choices, and the Climate Pledge Friendly program's seen those results. They've seen sustainably badged products on Amazon, increased sales of, 10, 15, 20% over unbadged products. They've seen growth of registration of
Mhm.
products in their program, and they've seen consumers shifting. They've seen their shop making those
Hmm.
choices to shift away from a product that doesn't have a third-party certification to those that do, and that have documented what they've done in the
Yeah.
areas of sustainability.
Nice. I think yeah, I actively try not to use Amazon. And I didn't know about whether that was a trusted thing or just greenwashing from Amazon. But it's great
It's pretty
to,
legit. I
you know,
mean, even if you use Amazon's rating of the sustainability certifications, but you shop locally, which is great. Again, it's a resource, and they've done a good job.
thanks for the recommendation. I
But
literally
again,
like
other retailers too,
never would have.
the more you're looking at retailers that have kind of focused on sustainable products, and they've got, grow values, and they show you what requirements they
Yeah.
have for products. So it is another level of certification and
Okay.
reassurance, I
Yep.
think, to consumers.
Now, before I ask my favorite guest question, I want to remind you, eco-curious wizards out there, that as a super small-time creator, your subscribe makes a huge difference for me and for the channel. So please help me people power this channel's growth by tapping the subscribe button or even just giving like the little thumbs up. And Linda, one thing I really appreciate about Climeco is how much you do. Like there's so much happening there. It feels like a really holistic solution. What would you say is the role of Climeco in the transition to a more sustainable future?
Climco it's a fascinating company. We're very broad in sustainability solutions, but we're also really deep in expertise. So I think that the main role that Climco serves is, again, meeting companies where they are in their sustainability journey and giving them options and paths to increase their operational sustainability, to lower their impact on the environment in the method that works best for that organization. So even for the smallest businesses, we
Mm,
work with a lot of startup companies. We work with a lot of very small enterprises that don't know where to start. And we really help them with that sort of that paralytic fear of, I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And, part of
oh
what we
yeah.
say is, well, you can do nothing or you can do something. So let's help you do something. So with the smallest companies that don't really know where to get started and maybe don't have the resources to measure their own operational impact, we have programs like the Eco Committed Partner Program that allows a very small company to make a small financial investment to support projects around the world that are reducing carbon dioxide emissions, that are restoring water quality, that are reclaiming ocean-bound non-recyclable plastics. And
Really cool.
yeah, and to use that as really their starting point in their sustainability journey, and to say, we're young, we're new, we're just getting started, but we're taking responsibility. We know that our business has an environmental impact. So as we grow and learn to really measure what that is, we are choosing to support projects around the world that are improving the environment and the health of the
Mm.
environment. So it's really one of the many ways that Climco is able to meet companies where they are and help them begin or further and enhance their sustainability journey and their initiatives to take environmental responsibility.
Wow, that's incredible. And you have you have the services to do it. ClimeCo is like a full service. If you
Absolutely.
don't know where to start on your sustainability journey, or if you're already on it, or whatever you got going on in the ESG world, go talk to ClimeCo.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we
You got
really
it all.
do. Yeah, we develop
Yeah.
projects that are doing things to reduce global emissions. We help companies structure their programs and their plans. We help them communicate those plans. We help them source the environmental products that they need to help
Mm,
reduce their operational emissions. And then we
mm.
help them with third-party certifications so they're able to credibly communicate what it is they're doing.
Yeah. If you have time, I have one more question for
Sure.
you, which is about the folks that you see coming to you. Do you find that it's businesses that are already on a sustainability journey, or do you find that it's businesses who need to join or start a sustainability journey who have previously just never cared?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of a company like Climco with the breadth of services that we offer is it's all of the above. So again,
Mm,
we meet companies where they are in their sustainability and their decarbonization journey,
mhm,
and we help them implement strategies that are going to further their initiatives. They're going to match what their company goals are. And that can be, again, a brand new company just getting started, or the biggest global brand that feels like they've done everything they can think of, and we can help them find additional ways
mm.
to lower their environmental impact.
Right. And in both of those, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is like, would you still consider the sustainability movement in sort of this echo chamber or like this bubble? Or do you see that bubble kind of bursting? Because sustainability is good business and you help them to make it really good business.
Yeah, it really is. A big part of what we do is to help companies realize that sustainability initiatives are good business, and those investments have the return on the company's financial operations that most businesses require these days.
How about we jump into my last question? How can people find you?
Yeah, thanks, absolutely. You can reach us through the Climco website. We've got a lot of resources there, and again, geared to companies of every size in every industry, also to individuals. So we've got a lot of options for individuals. So there's a lot of contact us options just on our website. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, as is Climco.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing, Linda, and for everything happening at Climco. And thank you for joining us. If you'd like to see more EnvironMental on YouTube, check out my talk with my last guest, Caesar, with Clean Something for Nothing. I'm going to put that on the screen right here next to a circle with my face in it so you can subscribe to the channel really easily. And I will see you next time. Bye.